So what happens after a bill passes the legislature? Most folks believe that once the bill has passed the California state legislature, the state senate, and the state assembly, that the bill goes directly to the governor's desk. However, there's actually an interim step. It's called engrossing and enrolling, and often referred to as the E&E process. So engrossing and enrolling is an important part of the legislative process. It occurs out of public sight and is generally not known or understood by those even around the California state capitol. So when a bill has been amended, only the engrossing process takes place. However, after a bill passes both houses of the legislature, then first engrossing occurs and then it's followed by enrolling. And by the way, E and E are two separate and distinct activities. Now, engrossing can occur even before a bill has passed either floor of the assembly. Enrolling, on the other hand, only occurs after a bill has passed both of the houses. So, what occurs in these two processes? In engrossing, there's a comparison of the printed bill to assure its likeness to the original bill and that the bill's amendments were properly included in the bill. After being proofread by the E&E staff to assure the amendments were done properly, then a bill is deemed to be correctly engrossed and is in its proper form. The official proofreading also follows second reading on the Senate and Assembly daily files and/or the adoption of any amendments to the bill. In the enrolling process, the chief clerk of the assembly has explained that an enrolled bill is one that has passed both houses of the legislature and has been ordered to be enrolled. So in enrollment, the bill is proofread for its accuracy, and then it's delivered to the governor for final action. The enrolled version of the bill contains the complete text of the bill with the dates of passage and a certification made by the Senate secretary and the assembly chief clerk. Now, the enrollment process concludes when the bill has been presented to the governor and resolutions are filed with the Secretary of State. An enrolled bill that has been approved by the governor contains the signatures of not only the Secretary of the Senate and the Chief Clerk of the Assembly, but also, of course, the governor of the state. And then that signed bill, that's the one that becomes the chaptered version. Now, both the California Assembly and the California Senate have a nonpartisan unit responsible for proofreading all forms of legislative measures, bills, constitutional amendments, and the three forms of resolutions. These E&E units also prepare and deliver bills to the governor for his or her consideration. So both the Assembly and the Senate have an engrossing and enrolling clerk, and each house engrosses its own bills. Now, during the engrossment process, the engrossing and enrolling clerk is authorized to make technical corrections and changes in the printed bill. They can also send queries to the Office of Legislative Counsel when, in their estimation, there's a drafting error in the text or amendments to a bill. So, what is the formal process of E&E? So, after a bill's passed both the houses, the bill is then returned to the House of Origin. If the bill has not been amended by the other house, it's immediately sent to the engrossing and enrolling office in the Assembly Chief Clerk's office, if it's an Assembly bill, or in the Committee on Rules in the Senate, if it's a Senate bill, in order to be enrolled. If, however, the other house amended the bill, then the amendments must first be concurred in before the bill can be sent to enrollment. After enrollment and signature by the Secretary of the Senate and the Chief Clerk of the Assembly, or their designees, constitutional amendments as well as concurrent and joint resolutions are filed with the Office of the Secretary of State. And thereafter, the time of filing is reported to the House of Origin, and that record is entered in the daily journal. And that's the end of the formal process because remember, these types of measures, constitutional amendments and resolutions, are not acted upon by the governor. So enrollment is the final legislative action taken on a bill before it's presented to the governor for final action. When the enrolled bill is delivered to the governor, it's endorsed by the private secretary of the governor or by another individual who's designated by the governor to receive bills, and the governor makes known that person or persons to the Assembly Speaker and the Senate President pro tem. And under the joint rules of the Assembly and Senate, after a bill has passed both houses, it's printed in its enrolled form, emitting symbols that indicate amendments and such, and it's compared by the E&E clerk and the proper committee of the House where it originated to determine that it's in the form that was approved by the two houses. And that's the formal E&E process that occurs before a bill actually gets submitted to the governor's office for signature or veto.